We want to introduce our staff before we get started with the clinic. First of all, our percussion director, Mr. Tim Church. Also, Jason Kumberger, Jeremy Frazier, Chris Sumsky up in the stands. I think that's it. Also, our assistant band director, Jeff Pollock. Say hello, Jeff. All right.
I'm wired for sound. This is kind of dangerous. So, I know you're all trying to make it to the drum corps show, so I ain't going to keep you here all day, plus the sun's in your face. But I want to say thanks, first of all, for everybody who treated me really nicely last night. Had a great time, especially to Mike Nondrew back and Rodney Goodhart for humoring me all night. And everybody who had anything to do with Spirit when I was there, raise your hand. That's pretty good. I feel sorry for you. That's all right. But you survived, so there you go. Anyhow, I had a chance to work with this drum line for about 40 minutes or so, and they're pretty blessed as far as instruction, equipment, obviously parental support, all that kind of stuff. So I was pretty shocked at how much music they have down, which is basically almost their whole show. So what we're going to do at first, just like most clinics, is start out with a few kind of warm-up exercises that they do and try to highlight each section. Then we're going to break down some of their music. I'm a pretty quick analyzer as far as how things go, but I'm going to try to have you guys be the analyzers also and kind of tell me, or tell us what you hear and what you see, you know, either good or bad, or what, to try to give them some direction on how to work for the next month or so. So if you would come over and run a couple of warm-ups, we'll get it going. When I look at them, you go, well, first of all, your drums are tuned well. And if you go down and you tap on the quads, people pay attention to how their drums sound, which is important. A couple of the drum lines I work with, they haven't changed their drum heads for 4 years because they're broke. Okay, so I just cared that it has a head on it, and the one dude had like saran wrap or something like that for a drum head. So he doesn't tune his drum too much. And a few of them, they had like, out of 12 lugs, there were maybe 5 that had rods that were still left. And I showed up and I had a drum kit. I thought I was going to tune one of them, and everybody just said, don't even think about doing that. And it was just like the first turn was just, just broke it off. So anyhow, that doesn't mean anything, but what it means is that their ears have a chance to hear how the ensemble's supposed to sound, because number one, they have good equipment. And so I think the other thing I notice when I look at them is that they're all well trained. They all look about the same. They all have the same mark time, which doesn't even seem that important, but they're trying to lock their hands into their feet and into their brain at the same time. I talked a little bit about who was new on which instrument, and we have a couple people new on keyboards. Some of the quad players had moved to snare drum this year, and we have some other people who moved to quad. And it's not so noticeable. I mean, you know, like the technique, I think, is strong enough in the line that even new kids coming in kind of realize what it is that is expected of them really, really quickly. So even just playing a simple exercise like that, right away you just go, okay, I want to hear more, right? So let's hear some more. Bust it out. What do you got? So now, after they make it through that exercise, I say to myself, this is a cool ensemble because they don't have the pit like hiding down in the woods somewhere, rehearsing while the snare line's doing its thing. They're starting to listen front to back and back to front as an ensemble, try to do the same dynamics and the same phrasing. Then I take a look at the battery. They're trying to do stuff off the right and left, forcing themselves to do whatever. So that's cool, man. I like that. Next, bring it on.
Control one. Control one.
We got a lot of things going on in this one. Can I just have the battery play that one time by themselves?
Battery on
Thanks.
one.
So what's up is how it works in a lot of groups is sometimes the snare drum section leader runs the whole line. And if you're playing snare, and if you notice them, they primarily just play on one spot. And if you play quads or quints or any other multiple instruments, you have to learn how to use your arms, and you have to learn how to get from point A to point B or back and forth. And it requires playing a diddle for the most part. So, for example, the diddle's 2 notes on one hand. So if I was doing a diddle here, this hand could make it over to the other drum like that. And so sometimes when snare drummers make up the exercises for the battery, they don't think like a quad drummer, so they don't write enough diddles. And the diddles are really important for the quads, and that's how they do the scrapes, and that's how they get around the drums without hitting the rims or whatnot. So this exercise is really good because it's good for the quads because they can practice their diddles, but it's also making the snares practice something that they normally wouldn't have to do. They could use a different sticking on it. But I think when you hear the music that they start to play, this kind of sound kind of really helps them play their music well. So hopefully I can tie that in later whenever you hear the music, which will actually be fairly soon. Anyhow, that was pretty slick. Next.
Oh, wait, roll.